welcome Harsh Gupta for this podcast. This is a kind of a podcast where it's not about dealing with AutoML today. It's not about building a product. It's not about selling it to the people. It's also about building a sustainable model in such a way that there is an TensorFlow which is like changing every now and then. And there are some other frameworks which are literally so dynamic. Like every time when you see a documentation, you feel it new. And AutoML was such a platform where it gave non-coders and that community a chance to explore something beyond what coding could have done. Like AutoML gave them a chance to learn what ML was, and AutoML really gave them a chance to understand what is this entire no-code structure of coding and also delivering the product. And trust me, there are other platforms which are doing amazing. But I'm with Harsh Gupta, who is and CEO and the founder of Proton AutoML. And I think since he has seen the industry right now through his eyes and he has built a product, probably there's going to be a lot of insights about what this AutoML and the potentials of it. Tuned for this entire podcast in order to understand what is this AutoML, what is this culture of having the no-code platforms, and also get to know what's the essence of being an entrepreneur and also building such products. So I welcome Harsh Gupta, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this podcast. And I think probably we can demystify a lot about what this ML and the no-code platforms doing to it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Vishwas, for inviting me.
Yes. So let's just begin with this question of like, you've been a student, and you've worked in different universities and you've worked in different platforms actually on the data science, like WWF. And there are other places where you're basically analyzed data and churned it, just bought some insights using the data. So I just wanted to know, like, how was your academic journey? Because before moving to the professional one, academic actually plays a little major role in the world of AI and the data science today, because probably there is a person who was influencing you to go to the data science industry. Or else probably you had decided like, probably there's some hope in this industry and you shifted. What was your academic journey all about?
So when I started my program, I had good understanding of the concepts. So I wanted to solidify those concepts as well as get to know even more that how these applications are being used in the industry. So that was my intent of doing academics in machine learning. And during that time, I learned really a lot. Uh, my program was very closely associated with SAS. So we had a lot of SAS consultants coming in. We had a lot of SAS practitioners coming in, and with the help of curriculum, their expertise, the work they've been doing in machine learning, I was able to pick up a lot of things. That okay, this is how the industry works out. This is how lead scoring is actually being done. This is how the lead scoring is deployed then, and these are the factors that drive the conversion of prospect to leads. So I saw a lot of real-time implementation. I got familiar with concepts like MLOps. I got familiar with concepts like explainability AI. So those things, I had some information, but after passing the program, I had so much more information going down, as well as how to use those concepts in real life. I mean, a lot of people do churn prediction. That's a very primitive study. That's a very primitive project you can do. A lot of people do visualization. Again, it's very primitive. But the industry is evolving. The projects, right now, I'm seeing companies coming up with requirements like find out the future value of my customers, find out that in how many years are my customer going to churn away, and what are the types of churn that I need to be looking at? How do I control the churn? So industry is evolving, and through my program, I got to know a lot about uh, how to implement those things in real organizations, real time. That has been the major learning in the program.
I just wanted to know, how were the problem statements when you started in the world of data science? I know you have been analyst in universities. I also know that you have been working in different sectors. So how are those problem statements to you? Like, what was the way in which problem statements were also being solved during that time?
So many problem statements I've worked on. Some of the most challenging works have been the time series, the forecasting ones, because there's so much stationary issues, so many irregularities, just so many components, so many variables. So those have been the toughest, the most challenging problems. And that has included forecasting the revenue for next 3 quarters, forecasting how much this sales representative is going to make in his 1 year, forecasting how much is the demand going to be for a certain manufacturing company. So those have been the toughest problem, the time series forecasting. And some of the other problem statements, I mean, I've worked on a lot. Some of them pretty popular one have been text analytics, opinion mining, NLP problems. And one project I remember, this was pretty phenomenal after we got the results. And we were looking at the phone call conversations between the solicitor, the person who's soliciting the donor, the constituent. So the people were calling them in, the the email were being recorded, the chats were being recorded in their database, the phone calls were also being recorded in their database, and I was able to come up with the words that lead to a donation. So I was able to implement it, and anytime, let's say somebody calls up, and anytime that word gets gets spoken or gets mentioned, there is immediately there's a trigger in the system. And this is again part of ML ops. There's a trigger in the system. Okay, look, this word is coming. There's a 98% chance of donating now. And suddenly it was escalated based on the percentage of chance of donating and based on the predicted amount of donation. It was escalated to somebody senior, somebody junior based on the amount and the probability. And that was something phenomenal just by the words. And We had a very good accuracy as well. We had 92.1% accuracy. So it was pretty good accuracy on test data set. We implemented it, and the organization started seeing immediate benefits. Because think about it, right? You're having conversation with one person at so many places, email, chat, customer support. He's calling you in. Maybe you're calling him in. There's just so many places that where you're having the customer interaction. So it's actually difficult to find any information out of all that. But now, just like some of the words come and there's immediately probabilities given out. That was amazing. That is one particular project I was able to deploy, and we saw real-time benefits.
Talked about AutoML and the ML ops problem statement that you were actually part of. So I just wanted to know, what's the basic understanding that you got from the ML ops? Was it an hype or a hope for the industry during that time, or else what is it? Even today, people talk about ML ops, yeah, ops, and things like that. So I just wanted to know, what is ML ops to the world, and how far is it going to be a hope tomorrow?
See, anytime it's a very practical scenario. Forget all the words, forget all the content that you're reading on the internet, forget everything. Just think from a simple point of implementing a solution to a business. I give you a statement, let's say that, okay, Vishwas, you need to predict the customer is going to churn or not. Okay. So you took the historical data set and you got the predicted probabilities for everyone. Good, great. Okay. Now comes the part. So you give people 1 year to see if they're churning or not. And now today, let's say somebody came in or somebody came in 6 months ago, right? You haven't given them 1 year. Now you need to, using your machine learning model, using your data cleaning processes, you need to score it onto the people whom you haven't given enough time, or often we call it the unseen data set. We do not know their target, we do not know their outcome. So I'm going to be predicting values. So this is the very simplistic thing a lot of people do, but that is very manual, right? I go in, I upload the file on the Python, I write the code, and then I'm generating the output, then I'm scoring the values, and then I have a CSV again back in my system. That is not scalable. Now, to make it scalable, you have to have real-time or batch production, batch scoring. So let's say your data is sitting right now in Salesforce. Anytime a new person comes in, and you have your own CRM, where you're combining everything, HubSpot, Salesforce, you're just combining so many variables. So you took the historical data set, you build the model, that's good. And now you need to score values in real time in your Salesforce. So this is where the MLOps comes into the picture. So it's kind of deploying your machine learning project and making it useful in such a way that anybody in the organization can consume it. So if I'm working on my system, if I'm working on my laptop, I have the CSV file right now scoring. And I can even manually upload it in Salesforce. That's so much work. But think about it. If I automate it in such a way that look, anytime a new field in Salesforce comes in, pass it through this scoring API, pass it through this function, put the value back in the Salesforce CRM, and now that value is visible to everybody in the organization. So let's say a marketing person, uh, I have this task as a marketing person that I have to stop the churn of customers. I immediately get a notification every day. I get notification, again part of MLOps. I get a notification that today 10 people are going to be churning. Here is a look at these people. So as a marketing person, I look at these 10 people and I look at, so I'm going to be calling people above 0.75 probability and see what the problem is. And then you're going to call them up and maybe you bring down the churn. We'll also be able to tell you the factors that are driving the churn. So maybe you work on those factors to bring down the churn. So that is what is initially the whole goal of MLOps is. Don't go by the definition. Don't go by all those technical jargons. Just think that you have to put a machine learning problem into production. That is where the MLOps comes into picture. Now it comes into many different types. For example, uh, very basic would be just to have the score values and give it to the user in a CSV format. The better would be you put it back to your database, back to your CRM. Even more better strategy would be do you do it real time or you do it batch scoring. An even better thing would be that you start creating triggers for the sales rep guy. You create a trigger. Okay, look, you're talking to these 100 prospects. Out of 100 prospects, we think these 9 people will convert to sales. So you better call them, better email them. So creating triggers for them, making it more consumable for them. We at Proton AutoML right now even introducing something else. We are creating a web app where I send you the web app link. So it's called, let's say you work for XYZ company. So I send you the link xyz.com predictions, and there's a dashboard, and then you enter the values of the people, and then you get the predictions. For example, you enter like the person is in Texas, the person is male, the person is age 55, the person has income 55,000, and suddenly you get the prediction real time. So that is another making MLOps better and making it more easier and accessible to people.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like most of them have this undefined ununderstanding of, like, they need to understand the fact that it's going to be a hype for the industry, and they need to just make sure that they understand the part in which you can really make an sense out of the entire process that you're doing. Like people might think, okay, I use this thing, I use that thing, but what's the big use and what's the big deal in doing that? And if it's in collaborative way, I think probably MLOps is going to be a huge impact for the industry. That's what I really feel. Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, what is the AutoML potential for the world of AI and the deep learning for the tomorrow's world? Like we are trying to go reach something called as an artificial general intelligence. But right now it's impossible because there are federated learning models that are coming up where you don't need to send the data, but you can train the model in the local system and you can throw out the data for the cloud or else to any person who is handling it. So I wanted to know, like, what is the potential of AutoML on this world of deep learning, machine learning, and the AI? That even non-coding community, people from coding non-coders who are there in the world of development are also popping up and doing a lot and lot of things. Like even Salesforce is coming out with a lot of tasks in such a way that SQL code can be actually generated through the NLP process and things like that. So I wanted to know, like, what's the potential of AutoML? Not the entire way in which we can literally say, okay, this is going to be the new future and the things like that. But like, what's the absolute potential of it?
So AutoML mostly is solving problems of two types of users. And for uh, the first user type is actually the data professionals who do not necessarily understand data science, who do not understand the libraries in Python, so many are data cleaning, but they're still doing data work. For example, they could be SQL analysts. They're pulling the data, they know about their data. For example, people like who are working on Tableau, Click, who are doing visualization, uh, business analysts. So they always want to be doing machine learning, but then there's a big obstacle, big hurdle in front of them, and that is that they have to learn so much data science concepts. They can't just simply learn a linear regression equation tomorrow and start solving problems. And even if let's say they learn modeling, the biggest part is the data cleaning, the feature engineering. For that, they have to spend considerable 1 2 years looking at many data sets, understanding the whole process to be able to understand that, okay, when there is a date column, cannot be used as it is in machine learning. I need to create more features out of it. I need to create a standard format for date column. So they have a lot of it's not just even about learning modeling. They have a lot of work to do before they start giving good results in machine learning, and they don't necessarily know how to let's say deploy the models, tune the parameters. Those are the challenges as well. So with them, it helps out because then they take a tool like ours, they just ingest the data set and they get the results. They don't have to code, they don't have to learn any data science concept. They just have to, like we are telling them, the product is telling them that look, this is the data cleaning we've done. These are the variables we've created. This is the best model in the model comparison. We built so many models. This is how you deploy it. We're giving them APIs. So that helps them a lot. So now they have the data science ability, thereby creating many more citizen data scientists in the organization. And that is the need of the hour. There are few data scientists right now with every organization, and they don't get enough resources. So by creating more citizen data scientists, these companies are getting the work done. So it's a win-win situation for all. So this is the first type of user. Count in the executives as well, because executives and sales teams and marketing teams, they want to get data science work done. Then there's a complex navigation they have to do with the IT data science team to get any project done. Plus, they don't want to be sharing their data so much with the data science teams. So now they can also start doing data science in-house. They don't have to reach out to consultants. They can do it in-house. It's just getting them started in data science, machine learning. So those are the first type of users. Second type of users are your data scientists. And think about it. A data scientist is spending 40 to 60% of the time just data cleaning, data wrangling, feature engineering, feature preparation. So much of the time is manually wasted of a data scientist. So product like AutoML, they help data scientists in boosting the productivity because now they can just focus on thinking about the business problem. Now they can focus on thinking about creating the right amount of data set because the AutoML is not going to create a data set for them, right? They have to create the data set. They have to define the problem. So that is the part where they can focus on, and then they can focus on the implementation of the projects, so that the companies start seeing the revenue increase, start seeing the conversion increase, and as well as they can be talking to more stakeholders to get more projects in their kitty. They can also start convincing easily stakeholders because the projects are being delivered and done faster. So whenever I do data cleaning on a very tough data set, it takes me, let's say, 15 days. On an AutoML, it would take 2-3 hours because there's so much logic needed to clean that data set. So if it's saving me 15 days, I'm going to enhance my productivity. And then I'm going to be looking at various other places where I can implement machine learning in the organization, start showing them the benefit, getting more stakeholders. So I'm doing actually really much more productive work now than previously. So that's how AutoML is helping companies and users.
Yeah, but I really wanted to know, like, what does it take to build an AutoML platform? Like, every company is coming out with an AutoML platform. Like, Apple came out with Trinity, Azure AutoML is there. Even AWS has its own SageMaker. There are a lot of other platforms and the products which are coming out from different companies. I just wanted to know, like, what's the main thing to build an AutoML platform? That's what my question is. Like, because most of the time it's misunderstood. Like, they're just generating the code on behalf of us. They're just generating the models on behalf of us. Probably there is a huge gap between what we are learning and what we are doing. So I think probably AutoML doesn't give me that leverage of flexibility. Like, I can't optimize my model and things like that. So I just wanted to know, what does it take to build a product of AutoML for those folks who have been doing some mistakes regarding the understanding of what AutoML is. I think probably this can really give them a brief overview about, like, what is this platform and what does it take to build such a kind of a platform.
It varies on everybody's vision, on everybody's experience. So I see a lot of platforms being so technical. When I was using Azure, Azure is still good, but when I was using SageMaker, Google AutoML, it's not too simple. For me, maybe it is simple because I'm a technical person, but for many users, it's not that simple. And what I see with a lot of platforms is that they're optimizing the model. They're giving you the best model, perfect. Uh, like they'll give you a Kaggle level model, but what they're missing out is on the major part: the data cleaning, the feature engineering, the data preparation. So I'm just telling you from my perspective that it really depends company to company how they want to do it. Maybe somebody's target market is that, look, you clean the data, you do everything, you just use me for the model building. As an AutoML, you just use me for the model building. That's all. I'm going to build you 200s of models. I'm going to tune all the parameters that normally would take you X amount of time. So that is my USP. Depends AutoML to AutoML. Some AutoML would be making sure that it's absolutely for non-technical people. It's just giving you the right thing, no customizations. Just ingest. For example, ours is very for non-technical people. It's not for data scientists. You ingest a data set and we give you, okay, these are the features, these are the variables that is driving your sales. These are the variables that is decreasing your sales. These are the variables that we created. And this is the winner model. We are showing as minimal as possible to a technical user. And then we're giving them the option to deploy and further look into more insight that if uh, if the monthly balance goes up by 30%, the churn decreases by 10%, all those kind of insights. So ours is for a very non-technical person. Going back to the question, what does it take to build an AutoML product? It absolutely depends on your vision, your experience, how do you want to present it, and what it takes to make or build a product. Our code has been mostly written in C language, Java language, and the model building has been done in Python. So that's our recipe.
Yeah, it takes, because it's not like you're just throwing in a Jupyter notebook instance and you're just building it in a form of an containers form factor or something like that. It's not like that. It's like you need a front end, you need a back end, you need to have some lot of computations behind it. Some data sets might be in such a way that it requires a lot and lot of computation. Probably some data sets requires a lot to store, and some data set requires a lot to be pre-processed and things like that. So it literally takes a lot and lot of time, and lot of code has to be like it may not have to be done by an user who is using that platform, but I think probably the person who has constructed that platform, I think probably he has to do a lot more work than what is being seen through it. So yeah, that's what, even if you're paying, that's what you're paying for. You're not
Right.
paying for just building models. You are just paying for the front end, you're paying for the back end, you're paying for
The
the
whole
compute
experience.
and the experience that they've bought in to build that AutoML platform. That's what it is. So, sir, I just wanted to, let's just go on to the entrepreneurial side of this AutoML and things like that. What do you think about the market space right now for the industry? Like, a startup has a good stake in the industry right now. They can grab a big chunk of the same industry. So I just wanted to know how to leverage the knowledge and the market that we can look at today. So that's my question. Like, how to leverage it in such a way that you grab the biggest chunk and the biggest piece of it.
Okay, if I'm getting the question right, you mean to ask me is that using the current AI capabilities or the current landscape that we have, how do we maximize it as a company? Is that the
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Okay. Again, it just goes back to what your vision is, what is your target audience, how do you want to make the product look in the market. For us, it has been a lot of organic growth. We've been taking a lot of webinars. We've been doing a lot of word of mouth. We've been generating a lot of content, and that gets actually a lot of people interested into the product. Because think about it, right? If you're a company and if you're struggling with your data science problems, machine learning problems, and you're always on the internet, you're always on the social media platforms. If you see some solution to the problem, you're immediately going to call the company. So just yeah, just reaching out to word of mouth, doing some AdWords. That is how we are growing, and we think we can grow more. And if you want to maximize the, if you're an AI company, if you want to maximize reaching out to more people, maximizing the revenues, the best way would be to show what kind of problem you're solving, how you're solving the problem, what are the benefits. Because many of the companies are not able to show this very simple thing, the benefit they are creating. And if you cannot show the benefit that you're creating, uh, people have short uh, attention span, so they need to get like in very quick time. You need to be getting your message out to people. So that would be my answer for our company.
So I wanted to know, like, how did this journey of building this entire company started? Like, how did you actually dream about building it, and how did you start? Like, what does it take to build a startup today? Because I think probably pandemic taught us the new way of working, the new way of reaching out to people, and they even taught us the new way of even hustling. Like, trust me, like the people who never used to do anything, like example me, I never thought that I would be so productive in some days like this pandemic, but I started my podcast during the pandemic and it's been doing great for me. And I wanted to know, like, what does it take to build a startup? Probably you started before the pandemic, but like, yeah, and how has it been going and what is it all about today to build a startup? And what's the hard work behind building the startup? Like, it's like when you start, sometimes it will be like, okay, he has started something, let's just appreciate it. But once the money doesn't pop up, probably there are going to be hundreds of people who might say that this platform might not be good enough. This platform has a glitch here and there, and things like that. I just wanted to know, what does it take to build a startup? That's my question.
I started in July last year. So it was when the COVID hit. I started because I've been always passionate about creating something, creating a solution that a lot of people can use. And I've been working for many organizations, and I saw this huge problem that they don't know how to get first of all, they don't have the data scientists. Number two, even if they hire data scientists, they don't know how to get the work done. So for them, if I could create a platform which would be for mostly non-technical people, that would help them get the data science insights, recommendations, action plans, predictions, just by ingesting the data set. So that would be great. So that was the idea of starting the whole product. And now, I would say having your own company is tough. It's not an easy. It's not for the weak-hearted. There's so many challenges. You have to wear multiple hats. You have to be doing so many things. There are so many sleepless nights when you're not confident. What am I doing? Am I doing wrong? And on top of it, you see your peers uh, working, making so much money, and you're just thinking, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? So there are a lot of moving pieces to any new company. It's not one like it's not like a when I was working, it was very simple. I'm given a project, I have to do it, and then I have to implement it. That's all. I think in just one direction. But when you have your own company, you're looking at marketing, you're looking at sales, operations, data science, you're looking at finance, you're looking at the web development, you're looking at so many things, wearing multiple hats. So again, like it's not easy, it's not for weak-hearted. If you are to start your own company, you have to be very determined. You have to do your homework. Don't just start anything. Do absolute homework. Research first that if there is a need for that product for a market, and make start small. I even tell my friends when they tell me that they want to quit the job, start the company. I tell them, look, first do the research, do some side thing, make sure that this thing is going to work out. Create. There are so many platforms right now. For example, if you want to create your web application and you're not a web designer, you can use something like Babel.io. If let's say you want to use something in your data science and you're not a data scientist, you could use something like Azure to start with, or use their APIs to start with. So there are a lot of ways you can get started while you're working in your job, proof of concept, and once you're absolutely sure, then start your own company. It's challenging. It's not easy. There's no answer. There's no question about it. And you're fighting with big companies. Remember, wherever you start, you're fighting with Amazon's, Facebook's, Google, Microsoft. You're up against the big companies. The amount of they spend $100,000, $200,000 every day just on AdWords. Imagine you're fighting against them, you're competing against them. So be absolute sure. That's my only recommendation.
Yeah, but I just wanted to ask this question because most of the times when ML startups come up, I think probably if you are talking like when I started engineering, like I did a lot of research on the startups. I also worked as a freelancer there. I worked there as a person who literally wanted some knowledge. Like I feel startups are the best places to get in, get that knowledge and get that understanding of what is that industry that I need to be part of. And you can start building yourself as the best professional. So I just wanted to know like building startup was fine because you literally told it's very tough and it's not a piece of cake for every person. Like you have an idea, turning it into a product, that's a whole new ball game because you're competing against the giants. Like they're like monsters in the industry right now. They themselves are fighting to get the biggest chunk of the industry. So I just wanted to know what if a person comes up and he wants to start a startup, like let's say it's a student and he has $1 billion idea. So right now it's all about the ML and AI. How can they leverage the current infrastructure that is available? Like EC2 is almost cheap, but not as cheap as a chocolate. But I wanted to know like how to leverage the present products that are absolutely available in the industry and how to build the best professionals out of like I can say like a student has to be a professional tomorrow, but how to make him future ready? That's my question.
So anytime you think it's a $1 billion idea, a lot of people are mistaken. They think in their head that it's the next big thing, but they haven't researched, they haven't done their homework. I'm not saying it's not a $1 billion idea. I'm just saying that do your homework, do your research before you start something. You need to be absolutely sure that, okay, look, whatever solution that I'm going to provide, there is no solution like that in the market. It's very unique. Or if I'm going to provide a solution, there's a current solution right now, I'm going to make it 5 times, 10 times better. Because you can't just compete on a price, right? If a product is valued at $50,000, I can't just build a product, keep the price as $5,000 and expect suddenly the customers will pop up, keeping everything so similar. You have to be like, make sure your product, your solution is better. And then you need to be making sure that it's actually in demand. There is a demand for it. It's to reach out to people. For example, you're building a machine learning product, reach out to top 200, top 300 people on LinkedIn, people on emails, ask them, hey, John, I'm building this platform for sales team where it can automatically draft emails, the sales email, and would you like to try it out? I'm just curious, how much would you pay for it? Have interviews with them. Make sure there are people going to buy it. So the customer discovery has to be done first. You need to make sure that the product is going to sell out. And then to build the product, use as much open source as possible initially to build a proof of concept. So let's say I'm building a machine learning company where I want to automatically write AI blog articles. Right now, it's a lot of work, right? If somebody has to write blog articles, so I want to do an AI generated blog article where you tell us the title and you write a few words and we'll automatically generate blogs. So use open source like OpenAI, BERT, GPT-3. Don't build it out from the scratch right away. Even if you don't like it, even if you think it's not a good blog that the AI is writing, but still you need to prove your proof of concept. Use application like babel.io. There are a couple of others. I think babel.io is expensive. You can use cheaper ones. Find alternatives. As a student, you don't have money, so you build a platform in as much minimal resources as possible, using as much open source no code platforms as possible, and then push it to platforms like appsumo.com, productrun.com, where you get some traction. Maybe you get paid visitors. Once you see value, then you can actually, if you want to get some money from investors, get some money. If not, then build a good product. Once you've seen, okay, there are 10 people who like this product, there are another 500 people who are going to love this product, then you build the product from the scratch. So that's my recommendation to students. And as a student, you have a lot of free time. They say that you fail early, you learn early. So as a student, fail early. You don't have, uh, you're not under pressure that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to make this much salary, so I'm losing out on that one. You're not under any pressure. So it's a good thing to fail early. Even if you do become successful, all kudos, all good.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this amazing podcast. Trust me, it's not about whether building a product or something, but try to build yourself as the best professional that you can build. Firstly, that is what is needed. Like you can build a $1 billion company and you might not be worth even in time of it because probably work done might be a luck because some people can call it luck. And right now, there's no chance for you to say any reasons that, okay, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Clear your goals, make sure that you are happy with what you're doing, and then you can do whatever you want. I think, Harsh sir, thank you so much for giving such a wonderful podcast. I think probably this podcast is going to be a mindset which and every ML enthusiast need. not about like whether it's a citizen's data scientist or things like that. But I feel like everybody can get a chance to learn something new and something beyond whatever they can really reach out to. I think thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Vishwas, so much.